on a piece of furniture, a chair, the sofa, the bed. If you're coming to a comfy sitting position, then checking in with how you want to sit. So if you're sitting cross-legged, check that you're on your sit bones, so the really pointy, sharp bits of the underside of your pelvis. So you feel like your spine, your pelvis is ever so slightly tilted forwards, and that allows your spine to feel wonderfully tall. So wherever that start position is, find a way to be in it that has comfort and ease, that allows you to soften. If you're sitting, sighing out breath and let your shoulders drop from your ears. If you're lying, the sighing out breath that lets the whole of your upper back and the back of the pelvis settle onto the mat. Each sighing out breath, your body becomes heavy and settles. And perhaps after 2 or 3 of those big sighing out breaths, you're simply observing your out breath that allows you to come to your mat and feel heavy and settled. And then beginning to observe your in breath and allow a sense of lightness and ease. That feeling that all of the busyness of today can be put down for a short while. This is your time on your mat to allow the focus to be with you, your movement, your breath. And that whenever those thoughts about other things come in, which of course they will, the mind is incredibly busy and those thoughts jump in and whiz around and connect to other thoughts. And part of our yoga practice is simply noticing that those thoughts happen and to try not to get too attached to them, to let them simply be and to float away again. And noticing those distractions that your mind has as it notices discomfort or tightness in the body. Distractions as your attention goes to other things that you think you might put your attention to, or that you perhaps have forgotten to do, or whatever. That there's plenty of time after this class to pick those things up with a little bit more vigour, perhaps a little bit more enthusiasm. And notice your breath. So as the body settles, the breath settles, it slows, it becomes a little bit softer and longer. Take your awareness to your abdomen. Softening your abdomen. Noticing the movement of the abdomen with the breath. And allow your focus to be with your breath and the movement of the abdomen. Moving your focus from your breath now to have a quick scan around your body, noticing if there's anything that feels tight, anything you know you want to soften and ease. Perhaps there's something that feels a little bit sore, a little bit injured. So be aware of it, give yourself permission to move in the right way for you. It's that gentle reminder that only you know what it feels like to move your joints and your muscles. And sometimes it feels nice to move them a little bit further. Sometimes you know you want to back away from that movement and be a little more gentle. So if you're not already having a little moving and an easing in your position, begin to wiggle fingers and toes just to bring a little bit of energy back. If you're lying down, take your time but ease yourself up to sitting. Super. So come to that comfy sitting position where it feels okay to have your legs crossed, and perhaps not both legs are happy to be crossed. So you might have one leg out and one leg folded in, or the other way around, or maybe you have both legs out, as long as you feel comfy. So bring your hands somewhere, maybe to your knees, your thighs. Have a think about the crown of your head gently lifting up. So we don't lift with the chin. We think about the natural curve in the back of the neck staying there and the crown lifting up. Picturing a V shape. So you're sitting on the point of the V right underneath you. Your shoulders are at the height of the top of that. And it's a kind of cone shape. You're going to circle your shoulders around over the point of that cone, noticing how things feel, letting everything rock and move. So you notice that the weight goes from one buttock to the other and circle back the other way. And seeing how it feels. Brilliant. And circle back the first way again. And as you do that, noticing your tummy button. So your tummy button moves around in circles. They're smaller circles. But as soon as you take your awareness to your tummy button, certainly for me, that I've noticed my tummy muscles working. Circle back the other way. Brilliant. A little bit of easing around with the body. And then let yourself come to that forward sitting position with your circling. So you end up leaning forwards. Bring your hands in front of you. Come up onto the fingertips so you can really lift the chest. So we're not lifting the back backwards, we're leaning forwards, but we're lifting the chest and the gaze a touch. Once we've lifted the chest and the gaze, we take the tummy button down a little bit further towards the legs. Rest your hands wherever feels comfy. So each out breath, your tummy button lowers to the floor. Each in breath, you have that sense that you lift your upper back and your gaze comes up a touch. You breathe out, you lower your tummy button forwards, and then you breathe in and lift the chest slightly. So we try to keep the spine and that lovely length. Perhaps what you're feeling is something into your glute muscles a bit. Watch out for your knees though. There's a point at which you might come so far forward that you scrunch into your knees, so don't go quite that far. And then your next in-breath, wander your hands in as you lift yourself up. Take your hands behind you. Fingers point towards your bottom and sit back on your hands. You can bend your elbows slightly and it allows you to roll your arms back and squeeze your shoulder blades together to then straighten your arms and lift your chest. Super. You have a bit of a back bend. So squeeze your tummy button towards your spine, lift your pelvic floor muscles up and use your tummy muscles to sit up and come up onto the fingertips. And stay that lovely tallness in your spine and bring your arms out. I'm just going to move again. So tuck your right arm behind your back, wander your left fingers out to the side. So we've got that lovely height. When we're sitting, wander your fingers back, swap your arms, and keep that sense of the lifting, but we side bend, which sounds a little bit odd, doesn't it? But rather than kind of sagging down, you want to lift and side bend, and then bring yourself back to centre. Adding the breath is quite nice, so breathe out, wander yourself into your side bend, and breathe in, come back to centre. Couple more to each side to explore what it feels like to side bend the spine. And as we do that, to notice the buttock muscles on each side, and you'll perhaps notice that you sway one way and both buttocks stay on the floor fairly evenly, and then you sway the other way and one wants to really lift. So we begin to notice our tight side and our slightly looser side. Brilliant. So the next time you sway to the side, making that your last one, and coming back to centre. So entirely up to you, it depends on which your tight side was. I'd like you to lean to the side that you noticed was the tightest. Okay, so where your bottom wants to lift. So mine, for example, is coming out this way. So to my left, I can get so far and my buttock wants to lift. So I'm going to anchor it down, I'm going to wander my fingers out, and I'm going to push my hand into the floor. You might be going the other way. Okay, so we're going to do tight side first. So whichever is your tight side, settle the hand into the floor and push the hand into the floor, and it anchors the other side of your pelvis. Whatever that top shoulder, we now have a top shoulder, okay? We're going to roll it back as if we're just trying to show the side of the chest out. And then you can release that arm and reach for the ceiling. So there's a really lovely lengthening up to the ceiling. There's a push in the hand into the floor. So we stop the underside of ourselves collapsing. We need to still breathe. And with an out breath, you're going to move this arm a fraction towards the head. Breathe in. Breathe out a little bit more towards the head. Breathe in. Breathe out a little bit more towards the head. And breathe in. Keep pushing the hand into the floor, anchoring that pelvis down into the mat. Lovely. Breathe. So we're going to turn the palm that's up in the air, turn that palm up to the ceiling. Tummy button to the spine, pull it up on your pelvic floor, and with your next in-breath, bring the arms back to shoulder height. And then bring them down, and we're going to go to the other side. So you wiggle your fingers away to wherever that comfy side bend is, then you put the hand down onto the floor. If you push, you just anchor the other side of your pelvis a little bit, roll the top shoulder back, as if you're just trying to turn your chest slightly to that side wall. It gives you a bit more space and freedom to bring the arm up, push the hand into the floor, reach for the ceiling, breathe. And then with an out breath, a very gentle lowering of the arm towards the ear and the side of the head. And you might do it in several out breath stages. Keep pushing the hand into the floor, anchoring the opposite side of the pelvis, breathing. A little bit of reaching of that hand that's above your head over to the other side. Fantastic. Tummy button to the spine, lift up on the pelvic floor, turn the palm to the ceiling. Next in breath, up you come and bring the arms down. We're going to go to the tight side one more time. So in yoga translates as, sometimes it translates as union, and that kind of balancing. If we take it very literally, we can balance left and right. It doesn't really mean that, but we can take it that literally if we want to. And it's all fine and dandy, isn't it, doing each side the same number of times. But if you're already a little bit imbalanced, perhaps you need to do one side a little bit more. So if you wander your fingers out to that side wherever it felt tighter and pop the hand down, then lift the hand up and reach a little bit further until the buttock does come up from the floor. Then use the hand on the floor to ease it back down. You've got a little bit more length. Roll that shoulder backwards slightly. Reach the arm up to the ceiling. And this time let the arm just fall back in space. So if you're not sure what I mean, I'm going to turn sideways. So we've done the side bending, the arms come up. This is where it would be normally. You're just going to let it fall back in space. Just a little bit. Push the hand into the floor, anchor that pelvis down towards the floor. And this arm's not just, it kind of wants a bit of a reach and a back in space, okay? Not a kind of, I'll just let it go, but a little bit of effort as well. And breathe. So we're going to turn the palm to face the ceiling, tummy button to the spine, lift up on the pelvic floor. As you next breathe in, push the ceiling up and come back with your arms at shoulder height. Breathe out, bring them down, have a little bit of a rolling action. Fantastic. And then bring yourself to cobbler, Baddha Konasana, where you bring the soles of your feet together. And have a little rest there and notice. So if I turn sideways, one of the things that happens in this position is this, because we want to hold the feet, we want to hold the toes. If we bring our hands to the knees, on the front edge of the knees, we can lift the chest and sit tall. And then we can move the hands down the shin and begin to lean forwards, but without wanting to grab for the toes and curve forwards, we hold somewhere on the shin and we bring the tummy button towards the feet with an out breath, and with an in breath, a little lift of the chest. Out breath, tummy button towards the heels, in breath, a little lift of the upper back. Breathe out, tummy button towards the heels, in breath, a little lift. Like you're working your shoulder blades towards one another, lifting into the upper back. Super. And release the hold on your legs and bring yourself really upright. Notice it feels quite wonderfully tall. So from here, sorry, I have to keep moving around. We rock to the side and just sweep the arm across. And staying at chest height. And we're easing across. Be gentle, be kind. You're rocking from one buttock to the other. And then you could bring the arm up and lean a little bit and rock. And then we can get a little bit, we can alternate, so the arms can come across, they can go up, they can go wherever you want. We can get a little bit more energy into this, and we can come up a bit more and rock further round. We get a little bit of that lengthening side stretching happening. Brilliant. And notice that you can do this just with a bit more energy and roll all the way around, and you end up on your hands and knees in cat. And then you can move about in cat with your spine. So when you get to cat, there's a whole load of little things you can do with cat. So if we first connect the movement and the breath. So as you tuck your imaginary tail and you look at your knees, you're breathing out. As you stick up your little imaginary tail, excuse me, and your head comes up, you're breathing in. And don't wait until the end of that movement to have the breath, because otherwise it means we might be holding breath at some point. So as you stick the little tail up, as that movement starts, begin your in-breath. And just as you gaze forwards, it's the point where your in-breath is finishing. As you start your out-breath, tilt the pelvis the other way, send that ripple down your spine for the whole of the out-breath. And just as you're finishing the out-breath, you're looking at your knees. You tilt the pelvis just a little, it starts the in-breath. The more you tilt the pelvis, the more you're carrying on through that in-breath, and as you finish the in-breath, you're looking up. So it becomes an incredibly slow, lovely movement. It's very mindful, and we have our focus on that. So it becomes quite a meditative movement to coordinate the tilting of the pelvis with the ripple of the spine with the breath. Super. So next time you breathe in and look up, as you breathe out, come to a flat back cat, gazing at the space between your hands, level with your fingernails, tuck your toes under. Take your bottom as far back as your body will let you, so your bottom goes almost to your heels, lift your knees, and then take your bottom up into the air towards dog. Don't worry about your legs, reposition your feet if you want to, keep your knees lovely and soft. Tilt your pelvis like when you breathe in cat, like you're really wanting to lift it up to the ceiling. Take the chest towards your bent knees, push your hands into the mat, and let your head dangle. And then ease yourself back down, taking your bottom all the way back to your heels. Your knees are still lifted, then the knees come down, and then you come to cat and tuck your toes. Tuck your toes under. Keep your shoulders over your wrists. Push your heels away behind you so your kneecaps come a centimetre from the floor, and hold. And breathe. Hold your kneecaps a centimetre from the floor. Keep holding your kneecaps a centimetre from the floor. Take your bottom back towards your heels. Keep your knees just a centimetre from the floor, take your bottom all the way back towards your heels, and then take your bottom up into the air to dog. Knees are bent. Take your chest towards your bent knees. Tilt your pelvis like you do in cat when you breathe in. Lower your bottom all the way back to your heels Lower your knees a centimetre from the floor, then bring your body weight forwards back to the cat shape, keeping your knees hovering from the floor. Take your bottom back to your heels, keep your knees a centimetre from the floor, and then lift your bottom up to dog. Fantastic. Ease in dog in any way that you want to. Take your bottom to your heels. Keep your knees a centimetre from the floor. Be careful you're not coming into a squat. So we're not coming so far in with our feet that we're here squatting. You're coming from dog to bring your heels, sorry, your bottom to your heels, your knees just a centimetre from the floor. Then bring your body forwards, hovering your knees from the floor to find cat. And breathe. And bring the knees down, untuck your toes, and rest in child or hero. Brilliant. From child or hero, bring yourself round to sitting on your bottom with your legs out in front of you. Draw your right knee in towards you, take hold of the foot with your left hand and have a little bit of cello. Brilliant. So watch out for holding the knee. I don't mind that you hold the knee, but let the knee fall out to the side. If the knee's held up here when we're doing this, we're getting very little movement into the ball and socket joint. Let the knee go out as far as it wants to, then support and play your cello. Brilliant. So we've got some movement going on here in that ball and socket joint. Then we're going to fold the right leg round, bring the sole of the left foot to the right thigh. Just as a bit of a reminder, watch out for your right knee and check in with what you want to do with your right foot. Mine doesn't like to be at right angles, it doesn't suit my knee at all. I point my toe away, that might be completely different for you. The other thing is as well, if this hip is tight and it hurts this knee, if we lean quite a long way, we take the pressure off the knee and we get to move in the hip and take the pressure from the knee. Then as the hip gives us a little bit more freedom, we get to sit up differently and wiggle. So the wiggling action is where you're rocking a little bit with the pelvis, you're lifting the right buttock from the floor, and then you're easing it back down. It's not a swinging about, kind of slightly mindless thing. It's a focus on that ball and socket joint and the movement it wants to do, and let it have whatever movement it wants. There is no right or wrong. This crest of this pelvis, mine kind of rocks towards the opposite kneecap a little bit. That's the direction of travel. Brilliant. So we're going to unravel the legs, stay with the right leg, have a little cello play on this side again to see how that feels. Marvellous. And then let the leg rest and go to the other side. So hugging up with the left, holding onto the foot with the right hand, a little bit of cello. Be careful with this holding of the knee close in and stepping the foot over. We're not going to get a lot of movement in the ball and socket joint. Let the knee come out to the side and then play the cello. Wherever that movement is, it's the right one for you. But we want to encourage the leg to externally rotate at the ball and socket joint. Super. and then fold that leg around and bring the sole of the right foot to the left thigh. Lean as much as your body wants to take any pressure from the knee, the ankle, the foot, and give you enough freedom to have a bit of an easing into that ball and socket joint. And when it's eased a little bit, you might bring that right hand in closer towards you, so you sit slightly more upright and you see what it feels like. Lovely. And after we've done a few of those, we unravel the legs, hold up with the left again, little bit of cello, just to see how things are going now. Brilliant. And then unravel that leg, let your feet flop about a bit. While you're all sitting, looking at the screen, I just want to show you one thing. So it's called Happy Baby, but we're going to take the leg long as well. So just have a watch. I might have to kind of just stick my bottom in the direction of the screen. Apologies for that, but it's the angle that you need to see. So Happy Baby is when you draw your knees towards your armpit, and then you take the soles of the feet up and you connect with your feet or your ankles or your shins. It doesn't matter, okay? So we're here drawing the knees down. It's going to be tempting to lift the bottom up, bring it down towards the floor. We're going to hold one leg. I'll just show you with one. Bring the heel down, keep the leg floating from the floor, take it long. Move this right leg that's bent down towards the floor a little bit more, and then we bring this one back, have a little Happy Baby, and then do the other side. From here, we're going to come to this one where you bring up and hold and draw. You might use a strap here, okay, particularly if it pulls in your head. If your head and your neck are wanting to do this, support your head or use a strap around the back of your leg, okay? That's where we're going. So lying on your back to that first position where we can do Happy Baby. So once you get onto your back, I'll do it at the same time, so if you need to check in, you can see. Take your knees apart and draw your knees as if you're trying to get them tucked into your underarms. And just be here for a moment. And you might want to wiggle your kneecaps around in space, like a big circling action in different directions, to then draw your knees in again a bit closer to your underarm. Notice if you really draw your knees in, your tail, the back of your pelvis wants to lift up from the floor, so nudge it back down again. Then bring your feet so they're facing the ceiling, the soles of your feet facing the ceiling. Then take hold of your shins, your ankles, and draw your feet down. And then maybe take hold of your feet, okay? So you don't have to hold your feet, you can hold your ankles. So if I flipped you over now, you would be in a wide leg froggy squat. Fantastic. So from here, you're going to take both hands and hold your right foot. You're going to let your left heel come down towards the floor, not quite touch. You're going to let your left leg go long down the mat, not quite touching. And you're going to work towards lowering your right knee down towards the floor, to the right side of you. Your foot is still facing the ceiling. Fantastic. Breathe. Soften your shoulders. Let go of your jaw, your eyebrow centre. And then slowly draw your left knee back And take hold of the foot. Take both hands onto the left foot. Draw the knee down. Let the right heel come towards the floor. Let the leg go long down the mat. It's hovering just a touch from the mat. And your left knee is working towards the floor. Know that it won't reach the floor unless you rock or unless you are dancey bustle. Okay? It won't reach the floor. It's just the direction of travel. Lovely. Draw your right knee in towards you and take hold of the foot. Little bit of happy baby. And then release the hold on your feet and gently lower your feet back down to the floor. And then cross your right leg over your left. So you're near the ankle of the right foot, resting on the thigh of the left leg, just near the knee. Let the right knee fall out to the side. External rotation, it's that cello playing position. And then lift your left kneecap up to the ceiling and draw the left thigh towards the body, right arm between the legs, left arm around the back of the left leg, interlace your fingers and draw the left leg in towards you. And as you draw the left leg in towards you, just notice that angle of your left thigh. So the more vertical you keep your left thigh, the more you're going to get the sensation into your right glute muscle. The more your left thigh lifts into your midline, the less you'll feel it in the buttock muscle. We want to have a lovely sensation in the right buttock muscle. Super. Some of you might hold around the shin of the left leg, but know that if you hold around the shin of the left leg and it yanks into your neck and your shoulders, go back to holding around the thigh. If it's already yanking into your neck and your shoulders and you're holding around the back of the thigh, lengthen your arms by using a belt. If you know there's a different way that you like to do this, do it against the wall. Some of you are very familiar with those adaptations, and that's fine. Super. So release the hold on the left leg. Let it come down to the floor. Keep your left foot on the floor, your right leg where it was, just resting on the left leg. Take your arms out to angel. And then tilt your pelvis to take the sole of your right foot to the floor on the left side of you, and the outside edge of your left leg comes down to the floor as well. See a little bit turning in the spine. Michelle, let me just show you. So for your legs here, we tilt the pelvis and just let the leg come down. Once the sole of your foot has connected with the floor, use your sighing out breath. Maybe you ease onto the inside edge of that right foot and the right knee comes down to the floor a little bit more. You turn just a little bit more in your spine. Just notice what the body wants to do. Lovely. Squeeze your tummy button towards your spine, lift up on your pelvic floor. Next in-breath, roll onto your back, unravel your legs, have a hug of the knees to the chest, and then have a go to the other side. So you starting position, feet on the floor, then bring your left leg resting on the right, and then draw your right leg in towards you, hold around the back of the right thigh. Use your belt to lengthen your arms if it's yanking into your neck and your shoulders, because that's just too tight. Brilliant. So checking in as well, am I feeling this in my left glute muscle? If it's not really in your glute muscle or in those muscles that are all connected around the ball and socket joint, then ease the left leg away from you slightly, bring it a bit more to the upright, to the vertical, and then draw the left thigh. It's the other side, isn't it? The right thigh, sorry, in towards you. So I'll show you, I can see people looking, if you're wanting to just look and see what I'm on about, that when you bring the leg in, sometimes it lifts into the midline. So this isn't really doing anything in that glute muscle. So ease the leg away, bring it more to the vertical, and then draw it in, and you'll feel it much more deeply into the muscles around that ball and socket joint. Okay? Brilliant. Some of you will want to hold around the shin, that's absolutely fine. Don't do that at the expense of your neck and your shoulders though, because you don't want to pull into your neck and shoulders. Marvellous. And then release. So the right foot comes to the floor, the left leg stays resting on the right, arms out to angel, tilt the pelvis and take the left foot to the floor on the right side of you. Super. So you take your shoulders are completely horizontal and your pelvis turns to be vertical. A little bit of toning all the way down your spine. And let the body settle and ease into that twist. So holding on to your tummy muscles, holding on to pelvic floor muscles. Next in-breath, bring your legs back and unravel. Have a little hug of your knees to your chest. Super. So while you lie on your back, cross your ankles and hold on to your feet. So opposite hand on opposite foot. And with all the, hold your arms around the outside of your legs, not between your legs. Hold on to your feet with your hands around the outside of your legs. And with all the grace in the world and all those fantastic tummy muscles and without rocking, draw yourself up to sitting. Use an in-breath. So much easier with an in-breath. Slowly come up and then rock when you need to. Awesome. It's one to work towards. It's really hard, isn't it? When you watch people who can do it, you go, oh, that doesn't look too bad. And then you have a go yourself and you just realise that actually it's so controlled and so incredibly strong. It's amazing. Brilliant. So we're going to come up to standing. Come up in any which way that suits you to be safe. Bringing yourself to your mountain pose. Super. So find your mountain pose where you've got a big grapefruit size, slightly bigger than your fist between your feet. Outside edges of your feet are parallel and your knees are a little bit soft. So we haven't got them bent, but we haven't got them locked back. They're just a bit soft. Super. And have a roll of your shoulders. So bring them forwards and upwards and backwards and down. One more of those, forwards and upwards and backwards and down. And let your arms dangle. So we're going to breathe in and take the arms up, reach for the ceiling, breathe out, bring the arms down. Breathe in, take the arms up, reach for the ceiling, and breathe out, bring the arms down. Breathe in, take the arms up and reach for the ceiling, and hold the arms here and keep breathing. Super. So when you're here, just have a quick check that you haven't engaged in a sort of super tight way the muscles around the neck, and that your head feels happy to be resting here. So you can let your arms move away from your ears a little bit to find that point of comfort, okay? So I'm turning sideways so you can see at this point when we're standing, we've got a lovely natural curve in our back. If we tilt the body forwards, that natural curve disappears. So it's less good for our back. So from here, we're going to bend the knees and lower the bottom, and to keep bending the knees and let the little tail stick out, but to keep a little bit of that natural curve in the back and staying here. And then from here, we think about it's a notional lowering. So it's literally a millimetre that your bottom goes towards the floor, and a millimetre that you think about lifting the front of the chest. A millimetre of the bottom towards the floor, and a millimetre lift of the chest. You can lift the fingers up, it helps. Lower the bottom a little bit, lift the chest. Lower the bottom a little bit, lift the chest. Fantastic. Continue to lift the chest till absolutely vertical. Power your legs straight. Breathe out. Bring your arms down. Have a roll in your shoulders. Notice your upper back. So hopefully what we're feeling is quite a bit of work here as we're using the strength like arms and upper back to keep the body coming towards the vertical. So breathing in, taking the arms up. Being at ease. When I say at ease, I mean that kind of sense of the mind being here with that curve, that lovely curve all the way down your spine. As you breathe out, lowering your knees, your body tilts forwards a little bit. So from here, we lower the bottom slightly and lift the chest. Try not to lift the chest by bending in your lower back. Lift the chest by lifting the fingers and following it with the chest. Lower the bottom, lift the fingers up and slightly backwards, rather than just concertinaing in your lower back. Lower the bottom, lift the fingers and then lift the chest a little bit. Hold it there, breathe. Bring your body as vertical as you can and push your feet into the floor. Come up, breathe out, bring your arms down. Step wide, slide your hands to your knees and swish your tail feathers. Fantastic. Have a little roll with your shoulders. So, just trying to see what you can see. We're coming to a balance, and it might be you want to use the wall, okay? So, sorry, hang on. Just want to do something. Because I want you to see what I'm on about. So if I'm using the side of the wall and I'm here, okay? So we are actually going to stand on one leg and then lower ourselves down. So if you stand super close and then you start to come down the wall because you come in here, you'll fall forwards because your bottom will just push you against the wall and you'll come forwards. So you want to be a little bit away from the wall so that as you then bend your knees, you can slide, okay? So that's the kind of, it's a little bit of a distance away, so you can do that. You're not coming very far down, but can you see that if you were here and you bent your knees a lot, your body would just come forwards, okay? You don't have to use the wall. That's simply me showing you how to use the wall, but without falling. Cool. So, the leg position is a familiar position. We've done it already, but of course it requires some balance. So let's just check in with how balance is. Come to your mountain pose. Fix your gaze ahead. If you have to just glance at the screen, do. Many of you have done this before and you'll remember it. So find a fixed point ahead of you. Let your soft gaze be there. Pour the weight into your left leg, all the way into your left foot, and simply come up onto the ball of your right foot. And play about with that sense of all the weight down the left side, finding the ball of the right foot, and trying to lighten the load in the ball of the right foot so that it makes it possibly to find the tips of the toes on the right foot. It might help to bring your hands to Anjali Mudra, it might not. It might help to put the tip of your tongue into the roof of your mouth, it might not. All little things you can try. From here, we keep pouring weight into the left leg and notice what it feels like to possibly just float the right toes a tiny bit from the floor. And the amount of work that has to go on in the left leg. Oh, soften the shoulders down from the ears. Let everything feel okay, the standing position. And then bring the toes back down, the ball of the foot down, the heel down. And as soon as you get both feet connected with the floor, you notice how much your left leg has worked. So let's see how it feels the other way round. You might have your arms out to the side to get there to start with. Pour the weight down into the right leg, the right foot, come up onto the ball of the left. Already this is a balance because you're just using this tiny stabiliser of the left foot. So we continue to pour more weight down the right side of the body as we then notice what it feels like to move from the ball of the foot to the very tips of the toes. And we find a bit of stillness here, that something straight ahead of you to gaze at, soft gaze. Take all your focus there. See what it feels like to float the foot a fraction from the floor. So we get to notice our stillness standing on one leg. Brilliant. Bring the toes down, bring the ball of the foot down and the heel. I'm just going to show you and then talk you into it. So we bring the leg here. This is where you were lying on the floor. You bring your hands to Anjali Mudra. Okay, I'll turn sideways so you can see. This whole thing when we were doing this, that's the direction of travel for your bottom and your body. So we're here and we lower the bottom down to wherever it wants to go and come up, particularly if we lose our balance. So we lower ourselves down and just notice. This is where, when you're on the wall, you want your start point to be a little bit away, and then you can slide the bottom down. Let the body know what you're doing and slide it back up, and then it thinks, oh, okay, I don't mind that so much, I'll come and do it without the ball, but I know the wall is there to catch me if I need it, okay? So in your own time, Doesn't matter which way you go first, the body will want to go to your stronger side first. Let it. Pull the weight down into one of your legs. Find that position where you're resting the leg just above the knee. You want to be bending the standing knee and lowering your bottom down, keeping your centre of gravity over the ankle of the standing leg. The more you lean forwards, the harder it becomes to not wobble. So you want to be taking yourself as close to that midline, that centre of gravity, as your body wants to take you. And lowering to any point that you fancy. Knowing that also part of this lovely control is how you come up again. Powering into that leg and unravelling. Maybe you have a swish of your tail feathers and you have a go to the other side. It's absolutely fine that you turn away from the screen. It's absolutely fine that you lean on the wall. Sometimes just even a little bit of movement of something moving on the screen isn't going to help. Brilliant. So we have a go to each side, and then we decide whether we go back there again to a similar place where we were before or deeper. If you were the person lying on the floor here, you could take their hands around their shin, then you've got quite a bit of external rotation in your ball and socket joint. If that wasn't happening when you're lying down, going lower down standing isn't going to be as easy because this joint doesn't want to move out. If it does, you can come here and you can make a decision about whether you're going to come down and rest your arms into your leg. Because this is where you were lying on the floor and then up you come. Okay? You can put your bottom against the wall if you want to. Be safe, be kind, be gentle, be slow, be considered. No rush at all. Know that when you've had a go to each side again, it's time to bring yourself onto the floor. Don't rush if you're still having a go. But for anybody that has had a go to each side, it's quite nice at this point to lie on your back with your legs up on a chair, on a bed, on a sofa, so that you're resting the back of the calf muscles onto the chair. So you take yourself to this place here. You could strap your legs together, arms in any position that you want to be in, and it could be a chair, a sofa, a bed, anything at all. Just know that the naughty little monkey has wound my clock forwards by much more than I thought it had. So if you need to whiz off, whiz off. But if you don't, a little rest down in relaxation is fabulous for us. But somewhere in the world of balancing, we've lost 12 minutes in my plan. Brilliant. So if the distance from the back of your pelvis to the back of your knees on your body is less than the height of the chair or the sofa or the bed that you're resting on, you could just lift your pelvis slightly with a cushion or a pillow. Just to make it slightly more comfy on your calf muscles. That choice is entirely up to you. It's quite nice to have a little lift of the pelvis to level out the legs on the chair. Brilliant. Make sure you're in a comfy position, wherever that is for you. Check in with your lower back. So it also might be that you just push your legs a little bit, pushing the calf muscles into the support to tilt your pelvis slightly, like you're lifting your little tail to the ceiling, so you can lower the whole of your lower back down onto the mat, the floor, the cushion, and there's a little more length in your lower back. That might feel more rested for your lower back. If it doesn't, then obviously any position for the pelvis that feels right for you. Just so it's a little bit nippy, you might want to lengthen into your lower back. Arms anywhere that feels comfy for you. Eyes closed, big sighing out breaths. And let yourself settle. And allow yourself to focus on something that you know works for you. So it could be the movement of your breath as it comes in through the nostrils, through the back of the throat to the abdomen and back out again. It might really help you to focus on something by counting your breath, simply counting your breath to 4 and then breathe out and count to 4. So adding a count, a simple, easy count to hold your focus. Maybe you quite like that one where each out breath you count backwards from 20. And you notice if your mind is distracted, and whichever focal point you have, you bring it back to that and you pick it up again. Anything at all that suits you. I'm going to be quiet. You're going to have that focus on something that works for you just for a short while until you hear my voice again. Allow your focus to return to your physical body. And take a moment to notice the position that you're in, the supports that you have underneath you. If you have anything resting underneath the back of your pelvis, taking your time but taking it out and then letting your pelvis come flat to the floor for 3 or 4 in and out breaths before you move again. Just to let everything feel like it settles without supports underneath you. Maybe you like to wiggle fingers and toes, hug your knees to your chest, have a rock, big yawn, big stretch, anything at all that allows you to come back to your comfy sitting position, taking your time.